Hey guys, I just wanted to talk about the Xbox situation. So, you probably heard by now, Microsoft closed down four development studios, Tango Gameworks and Arkane Austin being the most prominent of the four. And I just wanted to speak my mind about what's going on with Xbox as a whole. So, for the longest time, I've been actually pretty cynical or pessimistic about Xbox, and it just keeps getting worse from here on, especially today. I think a lot of people got really, really upset with Microsoft, with Phil Spencer, and how they've been managing Xbox these past few years. And for me, it's for the longest time, I think it's because they do not know what they actually want. Because they have two directions that are contradictory to one another, should I say. Because for one, they want to grow the Xbox brand. But the thing is, in it's contradictory to what they want for Game Pass. So it's gonna have to be one or the other, in my opinion. And by the looks of it, it's like they wanted Game Pass at first, but given that the revenue is just not there, the money's not coming in, I think they just don't know that they actually want to push Xbox as a brand. But the underlying problem is, in my opinion, is that they made Xbox so open that there is literally no more exclusives. Like there is not a single game that's you can only get on the console, which is why people are eventually veering off to like PlayStation or Nintendo because ironically as much as we hate exclusives, they're kind of like unnecessary evil, meaning when there's an exclusive for PlayStation, it becomes the huge incentive why people would want a PS5. Like example, like Stellar Blade. Of course, we know eventually that's gonna land on PC, but that's a very strong, as of now, as of this recording, it's a very compelling reason why people want to get a PS5. So in a way, it's really unnecessary evil, even though I get why it's better to have games available in all platforms. But I think that's the weakness of Game Pass per se. Because like the vision of the value proposition of Game Pass is like, oh, you can play it anytime, anywhere, any system. But I think given how long Game Pass has been in the market now, I think that value proposition is not as compelling in face value, or at least in theory. Like whenever I talk about Game Pass when we go live in the podcast, people are like, Game Pass is okay. Or Game Pass is pretty pricey, or it's not really that much of a good value proposition in theory. Because ideally, right, instead of buying the games outright, you can just subscribe to this and you have access to all the games available. But that value proposition doesn't seem to be as big as Microsoft is, or at least what Microsoft thought it was. It's not as compelling to people. I think what gamers are looking for right now is to just play quality games. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I wish I could play this in my phone right away. I don't think that's what the market needs and wants right now. What the market wants is actually good quality games. Like when they get home, when they fire up their Xbox, oh, I'm playing this game that's only on Xbox or that's optimized for Xbox. I think that's why I believe Microsoft should just focus on Xbox. Even though I'm kind of like a proponent of Game Pass, but uh as much as I like the concept of Game Pass, me personally, I don't really have the time to subscribe to it and play that many games. I mean, I have a finite amount of time and energy. So I can only play so many games. So that's why I think that's the case for many other people, and which is why I think Microsoft should just focus on building the Xbox brand from scratch and actually taking care of the developers. So because clearly it's not that much of a huge value proposition for consumers, and it's based on what we've heard from today from them closing down devs. It's clearly not working out for the devs, or at least the subscription to Game Pass based on the particular game of a game developer, it's not a metric anymore to measure their success. Because like they were hyping up, oh, Hi-Fi Rush did super super well, but it turns out they're the ones that were let go, surprisingly. And yeah, that's what I believe Microsoft should do, is that focus on rebuilding the Xbox brand from scratch, focus on taking care of your developers, making sure that they're making the best game possible and what people actually want. And yeah, that's basically what it boils down to, in my opinion. That's how I believe Microsoft should turn things around, not through Game Pass, in my opinion. Like, we hate exclusives, but they are a necessary evil to grow their brand. I mean, look at Nintendo. The reason why Switch is thriving is because of the Nintendo exclusive titles. And that's the reason that's been Sony's bread and butter as well. It's just that Sony's problem right now is they need to keep their costs down. But that's a separate topic altogether. So, but yeah, Microsoft needs to find their footing. And I believe the future is, if they want to turn things around, is to invest in Xbox. Build that exclusive lineup. Like back in the days when Halo 1, the very first Halo was launched. I think that was one of the peak days of the brand as a whole. So they need to bring that back, bring that excitement back to the Xbox brand. Because right now, if you ask me, why would you want to get an Xbox? It's probably because of the backwards compatibility for you to play games as old as the original Xbox, which is counterintuitive on why you would want to buy a new console. I mean, I wouldn't want to buy a new console, a fresh new high spec console to play old games. It's not intuitive, in my opinion. And yeah, as for the leadership, I don't know. Until today, it's like I always thought Phil Spencer was the gamer guy, but yeah, recently of late, I maybe it's time for a leadership change. Have a fresh pair of eyes and bring in more of a, I don't want to say the guy before him, Don Maddock, I believe, because that guy was too much of a numbers guy. We need someone who's concerned about the profitability, at the same time understand what gamers want. Because like I think they push too heavily on the Game Pass value proposition, which, I mean, it's been around for quite a while now, and I think the market perceives Game Pass, it's not as big as Microsoft would have hoped. The value proposition of the Game Pass, play anytime, anywhere, just pay once, it's clearly not working out. Or at least for that to work, Microsoft has to wait around at least another 10 to 20 years. They have to burn money for that amount of time frame, and clearly they're losing patience. Clearly the investors are losing patience. The major shareholders want to say, they want Xbox to be profitable already, and hence why they made that terrible, and I'm sure very difficult decision to lay off Tango Gameworks, Arkane Austin, and so on. So yeah, at the end of the day, although it I don't know, something, I don't really commentate on issues in gaming, but something this time around made me feel that I felt that I should. I am not a huge fan of Tango Gameworks, but I am enjoying right now, what do you call this? Ghostwire Tokyo, which is what it's the gameplay you're seeing on screen right now. I'll admit I did not play Hi-Fi Rush. I only played a teeny tiny bit. The same goes with The Evil Within, but even though I don't play their games a lot, I can see that the passion and hard work they put into games. So at the end of the day, we all just want to play really good games, and I believe Microsoft should focus on building the Xbox brand, building that exclusive lineup of games, compelling games, and why that's how they bring people back into the brand. And yeah, it's really sad that we're game devs are losing their jobs left and right. And this is once a bit of a shocker, especially they pushed Hi-Fi Rush to be like the one of the biggest Xbox games since forever, right? And apparently it was not good enough because again, the numbers speak for itself. The profitability just wasn't there, because at the end of the day, that's what a lot of investors want, a lot of shareholders want, is they want to increase the profitability or reach profitability as fast as possible and as much as possible. And doubling down on Game Pass just isn't the right strategy for that. At least not in the short to medium term. And yeah, those are my thoughts. That's what I believe what the future of Xbox should be. It's to build that portfolio. Anyway, I'm just keep repeating myself. And yeah, that's about it. So what do you guys think about me commentating on these kinds of issues? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you like my scripted videos better? But something about this issue just made me feel that I had to talk about it, even just at the back of my mind, even though it's just ad lib. But yeah, because it sucks, you know, it really sucks that we want more competition in gaming because God knows what will happen if we just leave Sony to their own devices. Nintendo, they're their own thing. They have always been their own thing. Like Nintendo is special in that way, having their own target audience. So Nintendo will be Nintendo, but if we leave Sony without competition, it's gonna be bad, man. That's why as much as I don't, I use my Xbox definitely the least. I do not want Microsoft to exit the gaming space entirely because competition is healthy, keeps the industry up. They think it keeps them at their toes and think about what's best for the consumer. The last thing we want is some monopoly and let them dominate us, like overpricing us and stuff like that. As if that is already as that's under the assumption that it's not already happening. So imagine if Microsoft is gone and then Sony is on their own, leaving to their own devices. They charge $1,000 for the PS6, which we definitely don't want. Anyway, that's about it. What are your thoughts on the Xbox situation and what should Microsoft do to turn things around? Sound off in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.